Welcome in, everybody, to the Eldritch Hounds, or maybe just the BennyQ and Chuck team check-in that we're doing. And I've already explained this to you two, but for everyone at home, it feels like I'm in a corporate position. I've got your resumes pulled up on my screen. And so that's going to be my bit for the entirety of the next 30 minutes or so. Chuck, it says here that you coached for Neilma for about 4 years. SKPK a couple years before that. And then if I'm reading this correctly, the Oni Homies for 2 more years following that. First time now in a few years with a totally different looking roster. How do you feel like you'll adapt to that situation?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me in.
Are you excited about this opportunity?
Oh, it's a great opportunity. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're so
welcome.
welcome.
Give me the job or else, please.
Well, depending on your answers. We've got some other candidates in here. We're going to have to weave through things.
That's understandable. Yeah, coming into a new team, it's definitely like revitalizing, I'd say. It's because obviously I've been with, basically the same team for 2 years, and then we had a bit of a roster shakeup after PK.
Yep.
But still kept Fred and Neil, and then went into another 3-man grouping, I guess. So it was kind of everyone it was a good team environment. Like it was easy to slot into.
Sure. It says here you're happy to be rid of Neilma. Is that?
Oh,
is
absolutely,
that true?
Absolutely. Of course, he's a good reference. Please feel free to reference him.
I will.
Going forward, but oh man, so happy to be rid of that guy.
Well, he's coaching in the league now, so he's actually direct competition for.
Well, that's just even better because now I get to put him in the dirt.
That's right, and we know that's really what we look forward to around here, the coach on coach drama.
Yeah.
That could unfold. Okay, I'm abandoning that bit. We're not doing job interview status anymore. We did it for a minute, and now we're breaking
the job.
free. Benny, so you're back. You're with the Eldritch Hounds this time. Rewind with me, if you will, to Season 9. The Valhalla Valkyries.
Whoa.
I know it was a long time ago. Yep. How would you describe Season 9 for you personally? A learning year? Difficult? How do you feel like you maybe grew over the course of Season 9 into the fine young man you are today?
That was quite the year.
Yeah, it was.
It was. I'd say me and the boys maybe trauma bonded a bit over losing for months straight. But I feel like I don't want to say it's necessary, but it was like it was experience I needed. I feel like it matured me a lot. Maybe having to lose that much kind of messes with you and makes you better in a sense as well, knowing how to deal with it, knowing how to move on, and just good, I guess. Sure. I think I'm a way better teammate and player now because of it.
Right.
But it just in the moment it was just every day. I just wake up and wow.
You wake up, you cue.
Can't wait to lose for 4 hours straight again, guys. Anyway.
Was there... I've been asking the teams, because it feels like every couple of years we go through these big roster changes where the rosters sort of shift up, and this was a big roster change year. What was the offseason like for you as a player? SPL-wise, were there openings for you? Did you realize that it was going to be a qualification type of year for you? How did you end up finding the roster that you're now a part of?
I won't lie, I kind of didn't do anything. I was just waiting, and I was like, well, if someone wants me, they'll hook me up, But after that didn't happen,
right.
Wow. But I knew I wanted to play with Quig and maybe Oath, and then kind of picked up the pieces from there.
Right.
Yeah.
How does this team, in your mind, because you had to go through a similar process at the early portion to the Valkyries, right? You had to qualify into the league. Does this already feel different to you than how that Valks roster felt? Good or bad? You don't have to dog on the past team.
I think the first year it definitely felt a lot better.
Yeah.
Just earning it for the first time and kind of accomplishing my goal for the past few years. That was like just a surreal moment. Like
Right.
I can't like describe it, but this year I was definitely way more confident. Last year I felt like, oh, I might choke, but like this year, like the practice was too good leading up to it. I felt like I was in form, and I just felt like if I did the bare minimum, I would win.
Right.
Is how I felt coming into this tournament.
Well, you guys did well, and we'll talk about the kickoff tournament, those sorts of things in a little bit. Chuck, how about you? What was that process like? I know we've gotten a lot of stories from players and how those rosters form from a coaching perspective. And I want to make sure you're nearly swallowing the mic, just so you know. You got to be. I want. No, I'm saying that's what I need.
Oh.
Not that you're doing too much, but yes, right, exactly. From a coaching perspective, how does an off-season look for you? How do you find your way into this Hounds team?
I mean, off-season this year, it was kind of like,
You're being yelled at by Mike.
I'm sorry. Leave me alone. I'm just a little guy.
You are just a little guy. We got you in the podcast room, though. And it's all about ASMR. And
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's right. So talk to me, if you will, about...
Oh, easily.
Oh, God. I don't have headphones on, thank God.
Not bad. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
I mean, off-season, like this year, I mean, most off-seasons that I've been on, I've just been on the team or,
Right?
been with Neil and Fred as they, as
For better or for
as,
worse, right?
yeah, as we like look for something else, right? So this year's like the first time I've had to be like, okay, let's just message around and see what's happening. So I messaged around and I saw what was happening and I realized, oh, every single team has a coach,
Yeah.
and they've had them for like a month before Worlds. This might get a little dicey. And then it got down, I think, because originally the Hounds, or what the Hounds would become, had Sharks.
Yep.
So it was all the teams that made SPL off the bat. They were solidified in their coaches. Wargs, which were the the expected.
I don't know who predicted them to go
seventh seed.
through.
I mean,
couldn't have been me
No.
or every other.
who could have known? But yeah, I mean, like Wargs had Neil. That was kind of a lock, and then originally the Hounds had Sharks. So I was kind of like, okay, maybe I get in, maybe I don't. Who knows? So like there was a day I think where, because basically after the Hounds, it was what was going to become the Glads. That was originally, for the very first day, it was me, Ronnie, and Kiemi.
Yep.
And then, we were talking about like, okay, everyone else has a team, let's put something together. And then the very next day, Sharks quit before...
Oh, God. I don't know.
Oh, very good.
No.
Hey, at least we're in there.
That's right, you're in there. I got you.
1 out of 2, that's
That was
fine.
50%.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the very next day, Sharks quit, and it was like, okay, because I did have to do some thinking before I decided to instantly join the Hounds,
Right.
because I had warmed up to the idea of coaching a new team, and I was like,
Yeah.
really, I think Kiemi and Ronnie, obviously teamed with him before. Kiemi, I think, is a great guy, great player. So I was like, I was keen to play with them, but the rest of the team hadn't formed. Hounds, obviously, I think on paper, because they had Coast, Benny, like a whole lot of also great players that also have a lot of potential. So
Notice how he didn't say Ducky.
yeah, absolutely
he was
not
in
Ducky.
the rest of the players that had a lot of great
Absolutely not
potential,
Ducky.
right?
Ducky.
That's right.
Oh. But yeah,
And
I
you don't
mean-
have a rapport built yet, right? And so that was serious what you just said. right?
I hate Duck 3Y. Hate that guy. Get him out
that's
of here.
Canon now. That's how we
Yeah.
pronounce it. How do you feel like coaching and responsibilities in your angle change based on the type of team that you've got, the type of players, veteranship wise, that you've got? I mean, from the Oni Warriors, who have, as individuals had won Worlds, and the other players had been around for years. And And now it feels like he got a little bit of everything with his team, some SPL newcomers, a couple 1 or 2 year veterans, Ducky, who's been in and out of the league. Do you feel like as a coach, your angle has to change with the style of players, the veteranship of players, now for the first time different in a handful of years?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, right? Like, obviously going into a team with, say, Zapman and, like, a bunch of Worlds winners is going to be, different to a fresh team with rookies on it and, stuff like that. But honestly, like, this team, obviously there's a lot of newness in the players, either rookies or, second year, or Ducky, that guy.
Duck 3Y. I don't know who Ducky is, but...
Oh, damn.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, like, the veterancy is, like, everyone's, like, experienced, at least, because Coast has played with adapting a lot, obviously. He can't...
He said he made adapting.
Yeah.
He said that he made adapting.
Yeah,
I believe it.
I believe it, for sure. But, I mean, like Coast is, Coast and, Quig are probably the newest, obviously, without having been in SPL, but both of those guys are, super on the ball, like super great ideas, they play like they've been playing for a while, and like they picked up like a lot of good habits. So the jump from like a super experienced team of like, Neil, Fred, SSG boys, like where everyone knows their business, like it's lesser, but it's a lot closer than you'd think.
It's moldable clay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
Who's the most unhinged already? Can you tell who the biggest pick and ban problem is going to be on this team? Maybe problem's a bad word. The biggest pick and ban innovator.
Biggest pick and ban innovator. I mean, this guy can't. This
Benny,
guy's always got something.
That's been the
cooking.
BennyQ story for a couple of years now. It feels like,
which is crazy.
Do you?
I disagree.
Do you disagree with that?
We have reined him in quite significantly,
Dude.
Do you feel reined in, Benny? Do you feel like you were a feral beast last year, and now as an Eldritch Hound, you are?
Yeah, I was for funning it last year. I might I'm probably gonna try this one, I think. But yeah, I mean, like the three months leading into Worlds qualifiers last year, my god pool is like 4 characters.
Yeah.
And now it's still 4 characters, just different 4 characters.
Four different characters.
Better 4 characters.
Well, the same 4 from last year still exist, right? If the meta shifts back to them.
And I only play 2 of them still.
Right.
So I've transferred 2 over.
That's good.
Somebody in chat joked about how we have one player and their babysitter here. And I think Chuck would agree or disagree. Do you feel like a babysitter, Chuck?
Sometimes, sometimes you've gotta tell the fellas what's up. But I mean, everyone's got a good head on their shoulders.
Yeah, of course. Good. Benny, I want to talk a bit about the backline duo this year. You plus Coast. Coast has widely been talked about as the next AD carry into the SPL. I think many were surprised that he didn't just get an auto slot in after some of what he had done in the run-up to Worlds. What have you noticed early on with Coast, his play style? What do you think stands out with him, and how do you think you two are going to play off one another this year?
He's a very aggressive player, I feel like. I don't know. It's just he just gets off so much damage that it makes my job easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we'll be getting dove or something, and then like I haven't hit anyone and 2 of them are already dead, so I'm like, all right, whatever.
Yep.
Like I have to do the bare minimum. Like like it's so cool.
Sit back and do mage things. He's good for like one solo attempt a game, right?
No, he usually gets 1 per game.
He'll get one.
He hunts for those. Yeah.
Right, he does. He hunts for them. Chuck, do you think there's a challenge there with Coast, balancing aggression with calculation? Do you think he's got a wild look in his eye and that's a newcomer to the SPL style of play? Or do you think that's an angle that AD carries should have? Do you think that's the mentality that you hope he can foster over the course of the year?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say he's got a my throat. Sorry, he's got a pretty good base level. I'd say of just knowing what he's about. I'd say adapting's probably done most of my work for me at this point, because he's like he knows when to push it. He knows like he'll be formulating, strats and plans and positioning on the map and everything.
Yep.
So he's and obviously, having a guy that can do that and also kill his enemy opponent, just get in there. Like it's the best of both worlds. Obviously, as a new team, have to foster a little bit, but it's a good baseline to start from.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch Coast over the course of this year. Quig, his dual lane partner, obviously those two have synergized quite well. But I think another player that has largely been talked about as if there's jungle openings in the SPL, those types of things in the past, Oath has regularly been brought up and talked about in a lot of those conversations. For you, BennyQ, adjusting to a new jungler this year, had Kirmi last year, Oath this year. How would you describe your new jungler's play style? Do you think he's as advertised with sort of what's been talked about over the last couple of years?
Yeah, he's just like a playmaker, which I think is. I think everyone on our team is like just super aggressive.
Yeah.
So I think all of our styles mesh together really well. I think Oath has been hyped up as the next up for quite the long time, and I think it's like an accurate way to perceive him. But yeah, he already did that crazy Thanatos play, so it's like kind of hard to argue that he's not like next up. I feel like.
Yeah, he's always been really talented and has already made plays for this team, and I think the Hounds will grow around that over the course of the year. I think Ducky's such an interesting player to talk about because has SPL experience. At times can kind of act like, no big deal. Yeah, I guess I'm back in the SPL. From your two perspective, either one of you two, what have you been able to gather about Ducky's mental, his drive, his motivation around this Hounds team and around this year in the SPL? Does he seem kind of reinvigorated and ready to be back in the pro scene?
I'd say so. I mean, he's give him a little bit of a friendly ribbing, but he's obviously like a really good player.
Right.
Been out of the SPL for a bit, so there's a little bit of getting back into it, I guess. Obviously a new team, so it's not like the easiest slot in for anyone. Right. So
he's also playing on ping.
He is also
that
playing
is true.
on ping, but I mean, even then, like, just watching them. Like watching, the team scrim. Like sometimes it's like, oh, this guy's on ping. How's he doing that?
Agreed.
Like, so he provides a lot to the team.
And we saw a lot of that during the kickoff tournament, right? I think we've seen now metas where, Hercules really stands out, and Ducky's clearly very talented on that pick. But as a whole, during the SPL kickoff tournament, you guys had Ferryman first, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
2 of the Ferrymen, you go into the semifinals, get a 3-1 set there. And I've been asking a bunch of teams around the league about this because traditionally the play-in teams have struggled a bit, right? And found it hard to build momentum and build win streaks. Sort of a weird way of phrasing the question, but I'm not quick enough at thinking on my feet. Were you surprised with how the initial kind of foray into the SPL for this team went? You're able to 2-0 a very talented veteran roster. And maybe from your perspective, Benny, are expectations now set higher this year for the Hounds than things were in Season 9?
Well, I feel like I've always been like a confident, maybe bordering like arrogant player.
Got to be that way as one of the backliners.
But it's like, I had high expectations going into last year.
Yep.
And
does it feel different?
I think I'm always the same. I'm always like, right now the bit for the team is like, it's a top 4 angle. It's a top 2 angle, So I've just kind of always been like that, I think.
Right. I think that, Glads as well, I think have shown a lot of potential. And so I think, especially with the way the divisions are broken down, things could get interesting. Chuck, you've gotten 1 weekend worth of real SPL play for this team in the kickoff tournament. Some good, some bad. Looking long-term, course of Season 10. It's very early. We haven't gotten a lot of data.
Yeah.
What do you think some of the good are? What do you think you can lean on with this team? What do you think early indicators of some stuff to work on are coming out of that kickoff tournament?
I mean, obviously there's a lot of good to take from the kickoff tournament.
Yep.
You know, beating a team like Styx is obviously very, a good indicator for a new team. Because a lot of good players on that. I don't know if they've, completely figured out. They might be Titansing it a little bit.
Sure.
Where they're a little bit, figuring stuff out the first little bit. But
right.
I mean, just having such a showing against a team like that is obviously good. And then I think we also had a good showing against Dragons.
Yep.
I think game 1
we won too hard.
That's right.
When the boys get excited, it gets messy. So it's
I mean, getting a win, almost getting another win. I think that's against a team like Dragons, especially.
Sure.
Like that's a really good showing, I'd say. So I think there's definitely a lot of good to take away. Like, obviously, I think the stuff we need to work on for the most part is like those sort of like that that mentality that you don't get from. Or that you get from veterancy, right? From just playing a whole bunch as a team. So, I mean, sorry.
You're okay.
Yeah.
Good. I think we saw sort of this crazy play style from the Oni Warriors during that tournament. They love W King. I guess they've got Pagon and he's got that Jazzberry Jam in him. And I think with that, a lot of conversations around adaptation and how the year is going to change. And we've got these big updates. We just went through a healing update. And, there's big season changes within year and Season 10 of SMITE in its entirety. And it could be hard to read, but I think that potentially this year, teams that are able to adapt to these really big changes, as with any other year, right? We always will have updates. But it feels like this year we could be slated for bigger, kind of beefier updates. Benny, do you get the feeling that, without really knowing too much in the future, but early indicators are adaptation and quick changes to the meta are going to be more important this year than they have been in the past, or too early to tell?
Yeah, I feel like the meta the last 2 seasons, like 8 and 9, it was pretty much the same throughout the year. Maybe like certain god changes, like shot up how much like a god was played.
Yep.
But other than that, no like big map changes or item changes. So the meta was pretty like the same throughout the year. And already this one, the Plains meta and the kickoff tournament meta was drastically different already.
There's already been 2.
And if there's gonna be multiple patches, I think you have to be able to think quick and be able to not be stubborn like enough to change what you think is good.
Are you stubborn? Can you think quick?
Yes, I'm very stubborn. But I do like thinking. I love thinking.
We actually just had, for those watching in the future, this was yesterday, but we had the update show yesterday. Big percent penetration changes across the board. Janus, a big mage that got percent pen added to his ultimate, just because it's on my mind. What do you think of mages in the next upcoming update? Percent pen, obviously important. Tanks maybe feel like they got a bit better.
I think tanks throughout the game might feel better at like different points. I don't want to say it because I play mid, but mages might still be OP.
Okay.
They might have missed the correct items, but I'm loving that.
Desso's still good, right? Desso's still good.
It's fine.
Are we seeing Janus? I don't know. How do you combine that with BennyQ, the bonus?
The bonus.
Are we seeing the bonus?
I don't know if we.
The bonus. I don't know.
Believe it or not, I like consistency. It makes me like Janus is like so hit or miss, and that's why like I prefer
almost
gods.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah, I prefer gods like Merlin, Tiamat, Yu Huang, just consistent damage. And it's like some games I'll be like 1v9 smurfing, but it's like I don't really like it. I don't like it. I don't know.
I'm interested to see because look, Janus is he's a lot of fun to watch. if you're playing against Barracuda, you're basically going to hit their carries for free every single time.
I think we play Ravens first, so.
Oh.
You might?
Might have to
bring it up. Bonus Q says Billy. By the way, Chad, we've got a few minutes here, so if you have any questions, feel free to send them my way. Also, there is a formal application, Chuck, to the team in chat. Snack in chat says he's sad seeing BennyQ as a player alone in here. So he's starting his Pro League grind. Their MMR is currently 1,700.
Okay.
But they've got the heart of a hound. How enticing of an offer is that to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably ready to pick that guy up at this point. Like, just
how important is having the heart of a hound in your qualification process?
It's very important. I think you do need to have that dog in you, the hound in you, perhaps. Yeah, that's like the main and only qualification I think we have.
I'd argue the MMR is more important.
What's your MMR, BennyQ? All right. I did not mean that in a gotcha sort of way. I just assumed it would be.
It is. I was playing a lot yesterday, but I was moving down or like moving apartments. I didn't.
Yeah, look.
I had a week or two off. It's just how.
What is the housing situation amongst the hounds this year?
God.
That does not give much confidence.
No comment.
Okay.
Yep.
Understood. No comment.
At least we have a home.
You do have a home.
Some of us.
Most.
Are you okay?
We'll see.
We might be.
We'll see. I mean, kind of just waiting on the United States government at this point, so.
Good luck.
Yeah.
we take our sweet time.
Oh, boy, do I know.
With things over here. I think the Eldritch Hounds have a lot of potential. You guys maybe jokingly said top 4 angle.
Mm-hmm. Well,
or is that top 2?
Top 2 angle was more the. But top 4 is like okay.
Non-meme. Are we thinking top 4 is a shot?
I'd like to think top 4 angle. Yeah.
Who are early and we can look potentially if we have the graphic all the divisions, because we've changed things up for phase 1 with an order division, a chaos division. Top team from each of those will go to masters. The rest of the teams will have to qualify their way in. You guys were given some respect during that draft show. I'm not sure if it'll bring rivalries. The teams will have to play each other twice. Those sorts of things. From a strategy perspective, Chuck, is that in your mind just teams we might scrim more often than another as far as the 2 divisions? Do you foresee that changing the way teams view one another, or is it just a different way of organizing games in your mind?
I think it's mostly just a different way of organizing games, because I think scrims obviously where you're gonna ask the teams opposite your division first, but we're probably just gonna be scrimming everyone pretty equally.
Yeah.
As much as you can outside of the week that you play, right? Because don't
want to give anything away.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't want to give the bonus away to the opposing team.
Sorry, kind of similar last year in that regard. So,
who are earliest rivals in either of your 2 mind? Who do you want to play and beat the most? And I want bad blood. I don't want friendly rivalry. What team are you most excited to smack down?
I want to get in there against the Highland Ravens, and
is that because Mr. Ma?
Of course. Just get in there, have a good old dust up.
Say we get the 2 of you face to face pregame.
Yeah.
You shaking Neil Ma's hand?
I'm swinging for his head.
And he would
match it.
I was gonna say, I think he would probably, knowing Neil the way I do, reach up and give a high five. Oh, we have Coast in chat right now, so he did join us. So the only 2 answers in his mind are the Ravens and the Levi's.
They did steal his name.
Yeah.
Is that why he's feeling that way towards the Ravens?
And his jungler.
Is that why he's feeling that way towards the Levi's?
Yeah.
Are you going to allow Coast to fuel your hatred for those 2 teams specifically?
I think so.
How much weight is Coast going to hold?
I think I already did, because when we were doing that draft thing for the sides, I stole the Ravens for our side.
Does Coast have an ego? I say that jokingly, to be clear. I love Coast. I love Coast. He's
got
an
a
exciting
massive ego.
He's an exciting player to watch. But I think I said this with you. I think like as a carry, you got to have a little something. You
That's
know
the
what I
dog.
mean?
That's the dog.
Yeah,
You gotta go into each
juice.
game. You gotta go into each game thinking you're the best there is. Then you gotta leave each game thinking that you're the worst there is, so you get better, right? And it's about that
I
balance.
think it's going in thinking you're the best there is, but treating everyone else the same. Does that
Right.
make sense?
Sure.
Because last year, I won't lie, I fed my brains out every time we played the Scarabs. And it's just because I was like, oh, it's just, it's the Scarabs,
Right.
so it's like whatever.
Beat them, surely.
Barely woke up, didn't do anything, no caffeine, just walked in. I was like, oh, what a waste of time. But I lost every time.
That's right. Well, the good news is we've got Advanced GG with us this year, and if you use code SMITE, you get 10% off. And so energy and focus and all of that now at a discounted rate for all you guys, and that's it right there. And so if you need that energy on game day morning, you'll absolutely have it. Final question here. It's from Billy, who's over in the back.
Billy?
Is it that you have the dog in you, or because you have Ducky on your roster, you have the duck in you?
I mean, maybe a bit of both. You can squeeze like a dog and a duck in there if you try.
I won't lie, guys, I'm a cat.
Really?
He does
Yeah.
post a lot of cat gifs.
Really? You're more of a cat person than... Do you have a cat?
No, I wish I did, though.
I'm trying to keep up because that's
Yeah.
the big thing in the SPL right now is all the players are getting cats. And so it's so hard to keep up with who's got what animals. I know like Ven is a big dog person.
Yark's got a cat. I love that little guy.
Who does?
Yark.
Oh,
The
nice.
shark.
Oh, that's an adorable combo.
Oh yeah, he just comes in and sits on my lap, and I give him a little.
So it's a good cat.
Little rub behind the ears, and he goes. Meh.
Because you never know with cats, right? Everyone, they can be the most standoffish.
It can take a bit of time to warm up.
But with you, Chuck,
Oh, of course.
I think that anyone and anything would warm up to you.
Oh,
almost
that's so
immediately.
sweet.
And you
Just
slot
vibes.
and look, the rest of this Hounds team, they're lucky to have you. All right, fellas, we had a nice chill sit down with you two. I liked picking your brain a little bit. I'm looking forward to the season 10 Eldritch Hounds. Looking forward to getting the rest of the boys here so we can all get in studio and play and really get things going. Sky's the limit. Top 4 angle? I can't remember where we sold on this.
Top one maybe.
Top 1 angle?
Yeah.
But, shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
Because if you miss, you'll land amongst the clouds.
So if we
I
say
said that.
if we
Well,
if we say top 1 angle here, that means we're guaranteed top 4.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
and the clouds could be top 4. And so if you're
Yeah.
angling way up here, and
As
you run
long
out
as
of
we don't
fuel a
hit the
bit-
ground, I'm good.
No, it's all about launch angle. We're trajecting towards top 1, and we're seeing where things go. Thanks for sitting down with me, guys. Season 10 of the SPL should be a fun one to watch. That's Benny. That's Chuck. You guys are the viewers. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Woo! Woohoo! Nice.